Tharp. That's the name that we're going to talk about. Twyla Tharp is here. For over 30 years, she's been captivating audiences with the constant motion of her choreography. She is known for sweeping away the dividing line between classical and modern and pop in the world of dance. She has been variously acclaimed as the Nijinsky of our time and the Busby Berkeley of the 1980s. She returns with her new ensemble to perform Tharp, a dance event that is touring 20 American cities. I am pleased to have her back on this broadcast. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
The last time you were here, you were at BAM. Was that when you were here last week?
That is true.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
It's great. You're committing yourself to 2 years on the road with Tharp?
I'm not. My assistant, Shelley
okay.
Washington, is.
Yeah.
Yes,
this
she's
is
out
going
with
to go
them
on
now.
and on and on.
Yes, it is.
How did you put this together?
Lots of hard work. And great dreams.
Yeah, okay.
All right. We auditioned for about 3 months.
You went around America looking for dancers.
Talented kids.
Right. Where'd you find them?
We auditioned L.A., Miami, the Midwest, the Northwest.
North Carolina?
North Carolina. We canvassed this country, New York.
Yeah.
And put together a very young group of dancers doing all new material.
New material?
All new.
Coming from where? What kind of material?
Well, there are 3 pieces. The first one is called Sweet Fields, the second one is called 66, and the third is called Heroes.
And Sweet Fields, the music comes from?
The music comes from 19th century a cappella American choral music. The first piece of music is Billings, who's the first published, do you know this, American composer?
No, I didn't know this.
Yes, from the Revolutionary War. And sacred harp music and 2 shaker songs are in that score. So it's about a kind of rigorous religious faith that's American.
And the third?
The second is about 66, I called it. It's a nod to the old highway, and actually is an anthology piece.
Route 66.
Route 66, Highway 66. My parents went from the Midwest, packed up the family. I was 8 years old, drove on 66 to almost the end of the line, which was in Santa Monica, but they stopped in Rialto and put up a drive-in theater and a car agency in the highway. Right on the highway, put their 4 kids through college, so I thought that deserved a mention.
It did. Now, where did Twyla go to college?
Twyla went for 3 semesters to Pomona, and then she transferred to Barnard.
Ah, so she came east.
She came east. She graduated in art history.
Yeah. And how did you make your way from art history to choreography?
When I graduated, I had some options, one of which would have been to continue in school. But I said, okay, time to take a reckoning now. What do we do the very best? And I said, I think we probably dance the very best.
Yeah.
And I said, that would be a very stupid thing to do. There is no future in dance. There is no career here. You get old. It's over. Forget it. You're not doing that. And I said, but it's the thing I do best.
Yeah.
It's the thing that I have an obligation to do. It's
Right.
the thing that I was most credited with. I must dance. And I said, no, you don't. You could be a doctor.
I can see Twyla talking to Twyla back and forth.
You could become a French translator.
Sure.
You could not do much with mathematics. That's
You
out.
could have been a filmmaker is what you could have been.
Not in the 60s. Not me. There's a catch there. Otherwise, it would have been in consideration, but obviously that was not a possibility. But
Why, because there were no women filmmakers? Is it?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. So, nonetheless, or partially for that reason, dance is a place where women have made a difference and where women have been able to move with full potency forward. And I said, I don't want any handicaps in this world, so I better go for it, even though there doesn't look like there's a future here. Let's just do it.
Now, did you have role models?
I certainly knew about Martha Graham.
Yeah.
I had studied 1 year with Martha. Last year she was in the studio. And I knew that she had forged for herself something of honor and that it had been possible for her to do that. I knew that women in music had not done this. I knew that women in film had not basically done this. Of course, there are very few exceptions, but not really having become the cornerstones of an art form the way Martha did. And that did indicate that something could be done.
And when you look at what you've done, is it what you set out to do?
Not quite yet.
Well, tell me.
You want the dream?
I do.
Okay. I need to teach. I need a school. I need to be supplying new dancers. I need to have another company working. I have another body of repertory that needs to be made available. And then I need to do a retrospective. I need to do the 60s, I need to do the 70s, I need to do the 80s, and I need to do the 90s, and I need to be making new material. And I need to be creating this sort of channel into which dancers can go and believe that there is a real future for them to have. And I am fortunate to have an audience and to have laid the groundwork for putting these other components in place. So that's what the plan is.
When you say I'm fortunate to have an audience, there are people there waiting for what Twyla is going to do.
I don't make that assumption. I'm infinitely grateful when it is the case, as with this group, which was pre-sold before they were even in existence, and certainly before the repertory was done. And there is an audience, and that does afford an assurance, but I don't take it for granted.
It also affords a responsibility, too.
Yes, it does.
It also provides a responsibility.
Which I think is a good thing. I wouldn't have said that a few years ago, but now I do. Now it becomes a challenge, that responsibility.
To meet what's expected of you.
To surpass what's expected of you.
And what do you think it is that they expect from you? Because I think they expect you to be different.
Well, right. I think that there is the expectation that one will be both different and the same simultaneously.
Right, exactly, right. You'll be, it's right, you'll be different.
Recognizably different.
But you'll be the same in that you'll be different, you know?
Yeah, right. But that's okay. I mean, I think that it's important for all artists to be recognizably themselves and yet to make progress, to move forward. And I would like to believe that's the audience's mandate for me, to move forward, because that's what I think the challenge and the opportunity of it is.
When am I going to see you dance again?
I don't know, Charlie.
I know.
I don't know.
I know.
I'm going to do a lecture tour next year, and I will also dance, no doubt there. I dance every day. It's just that I can't commit to a tour.
Why not?
Because touring is very, very difficult.
Hard.
And the rigors of traveling that much and knowing that you can deliver a show every night, it's a big undertaking, and it's really not fair of myself to do that. Plus which, the truth of the matter is that I would get bored.
You would?
Yeah. I'm not a performer in the way that the great performers can do 1,000 shows and reinvent it every evening and come into it fresh. My mind, I can do that, but my mind would sooner rush to new places, and I think that that's more my responsibility.
So choreography brings more satisfaction than dance ever does.
No, I don't know about satisfaction. It's need. No, actually, nothing is more satisfying to me than the audience's applause, right? Immediately, boom, you do it, they go, yay! And there's nothing better, Charlie. Not this grunge in the studio by yourself. This is no fun.
I can hear them out there, though. I can hear them out there.
You can?
In my ear. Yes, indeed.
Oh, well, maybe next year.
Maybe I'm wrong.
It's never too late to come back, is it, Charlie? No, I mean, at a certain point, you got to be honest here. You got to say, look, give it to the kids. Back off.
Was that hard for you?
Terrible. Not a fair thing in this lifetime. And I made it very difficult for them.
I know. You did, didn't you?
I did. But if they can get by me, they can get by an audience. No, it's not exactly mean. It's a demon.
A demon.
A demon. And there's a difference here. A demon has a sort of fury about it. And if you can get past the demons, you can get past the audience. It's a very good practice, good training.
So do you think those young dancers says, there's the demon again?
They do. I hope. They should. They must.
Do you want them to fear you?
Sometimes. Sometimes because they'll try things without thinking that way sometimes. Sometimes I want them to think for themselves. Sometimes I want them to be capable of making their own analysis. But sometimes I want them to go, boom, like that. And if they don't think, they'll make jumps, reaches that otherwise not going to happen.
Are most, this is a terrible question.
Oh, boy.
Are most artists really brilliant performers?
I couldn't begin to address that question. First of all, I haven't seen them, and second of all, I mean, what do you mean artists?
No, here's what my question is really. Are most of them smart, or are they almost...
You're talking dancers, performers?
Yeah, dancers, I'm talking about
Great dancers are very smart.
They are.
They are often not credited with this.
Or are they just somebody who has this one brilliant talent, the ability to...
Well, how many brilliant talents do you want?
That's
I mean,
true.
you know. No, the thing is, a great dancer is a very intelligent person.
Because, I mean, how do we
wait
prove that?
just 1 second. Can I deal with why the culture does not see them that way? It's because there's a stereotype about the fact they do not speak. They are silent in their performing. That doesn't mean that their intellect is in any way inadequate here.
Valentine was no dummy.
No, and also linguistically very, very interesting, as was Martha.
Right.
I mean, they use language in a very specific and particular way that, in fact, comes to poetry. Some of the imagery and the allusions that they would make are very poetic, sort of out of left field, but money on. Now, what did you want to know?
Well, that's what I wanted to know, how your perception of dancers, and the great ones, I mean, the masters, those that, you know, who've endured.
There's an instinct that allows the great dancer to look at movement, to see what's at the heart of that movement, and to instantly adapt it to themselves.
Can you teach it? Or
No.
do you have to have something?
You can't teach this. This is why I go through this auditioning process. It's a performer's ability to recognize themselves in a very specific kind of way. It's not taught. It's something that it's a kind of confidence, and no performer is without their horrible nerves. So it's not confidence of that
There's
sort.
insecurity forever.
But it's a familiarity with themselves that no one else can give them, and that is wonderful to see. I mean, you recognize it instantly when you see it.
So when you say to me that when you go to these audition sessions looking for these people who be part of this 2-year tour, Tharp, you're looking for that quality in these young dancers.
I'm looking for somebody who will
Because
captivate my imagination. And the best way to do that is by really being extremely, you got to be a good showman in a way.
Yeah.
They haven't learned the rules, these kids, yet for how you do that, but they understand it instinctively. It's almost an animal instinct. It's very close to that. It's not from here. It can become from here, but it's not initially when I see it,
From
usually
the heart,
with the
it's
children.
from some sense of...
It's almost an animal sense of preservation. A kid gets out in the middle of the floor, if they've really got this talent, it doesn't matter what you throw at them, they'll preserve themselves. Doesn't matter how much they can't do it. Even it doesn't matter how much they can do it exactly that same way. The very talented ones will preserve themselves.
What would you change about your career?
I'm not ungrateful for the way things stand. I'm not ungrateful that I have been able to work constantly. I've never had a period off. I've worked straight through from the very beginning. I've been granted the wherewithal to do that in a number of different arenas. And I feel that with that backlog of experience, I'm now really at the point where I want to be to start to work. And I'm very grateful for that. So I suppose ultimately I wouldn't change anything. If I could, I would move this time period back 15 years.
Where you are now?
Yeah.
Because in a sense you feel like whatever streams have flowed into you, you're ready to produce.
Right. I'm ready to do the work that is going to define me. Up until this point, I've always looked at it as preparatory. Not that I've tried not to make, great work. I've done the best that I could at the time, but it's been a great deal about learning, and now I've gotten to a point where obviously I will continue to learn, but where it's much more about just being able to do what I'm talking about with a great performer, to just put it out and know that you've done the work. You've done the work. There's nothing more you can do to prepare.
So we will see you dance again, won't we?
Well, you'll see me dance again in some of these kids that I love very much.
What does that mean?
It means that I'm fortunate again in having the wherewithal to encourage some people who really ought to be doing the dancing to do the dancing. You know what? I may love to do it, but it's not really at this time quite the same God-given right as the bodies that have more range, have more options, can drive harder, can deliver more physically. And I have to be real about that. Do I like it? I hate it.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Twyla Tharp. Tharp in cities around America over the next couple of years. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.